So the HBCU experience is a necessary experience for a number of reasons. One of which I think is most important is it provides the ability for black students to be educated in a space that affirms who they are as human beings. Now, that's not automatic, but it is more likely to occur at a historically black college and university. We often think of these universities as racially ordered, but in many ways, what makes the HBCU experience distinct is it is a space where African or Africana cultures are collected together. And the question for us becomes, to what extent will those cultures form the base of the educational experience? The HBCU is the only space that even provides that as a possibility. And if African people's cultures are necessary, then so are HBCUs. So it's a very simple question. But the complexity becomes what will the kind of nature of the education be, not just at HBCUs, but in universities in general. In the history of universities in the United States of America are the histories of the maintenance of the status quo. And HBCUs have always grappled with whether or not that's going to be their contributions to the world. Do black people necessarily need to engage with and maintain the status quo? So those are the two ways I would answer that question, to be able to look at HBCUs in a wider university context, as well as cultural institutions, as spaces to preserve what is unique about black culture. And if there is such a thing as black culture, then there has to be HBCUs to maintain and work on what that looks like and what that means, not just politically, but in the fields of sociologies of knowledge. How does that look as we frame knowledge based on black culture? That can't happen without the HBCU, and for that we should be very militant about preserving these spaces, because it becomes really how we preserve our own humanity. I don't know if we have the next question.
Your experience.
My experience at a HBCU begins as far as I can remember being alive. I was born in an HBCU city. I was raised in an HBCU city. I spent some time at predominantly white institutions, but the definition of what college was for me was always rooted in the HBCU. From Orangeburg, South Carolina, there are two HBCUs in this very small town in South Carolina, relatively speaking. Platform University and South Carolina State University, and those are institutions that raised me. What is unique about HBCUs in this part of the country is that they are very much tied to the community. It's very difficult to separate, South Carolina State from the black community, or Claflin University from the black community. And for me, that network was very crucial in my upbringing. So, that being said, the public school systems are still segregated in South Carolina, and many of our guidance counselors basically argue that we should go beyond the kind of HBCU experience that we're raised in and go to the majority institutions because they have more opportunities or they have more things to offer black people. And I didn't think that was true. So I went against the advice of my high school guidance counselors, who would have probably preferred for me to go to a majority institution. I came to Howard not even knowing what Howard was. I came to Howard based off the strength of it was an HBCU. I knew about Howard largely because of its athletic program, which is very rare for people to say. Howard's athletic program, they were part of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, and the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference is the same conference that South Carolina State is in. So I always saw growing up Howard's basketball team, I always saw Howard's football team, I always saw Howard's band. And that's my introduction to Howard. And Howard had a program where they would offer National Merit Scholars the full scholarships to attend Howard University. And basically, the day of my birthday in 2004, I got in the mail this full offer from Howard University. I was like, okay, Howard, cool, you're Washington, D.C. It's very far from South Carolina. I think I'm going to go, and it's free. And that's basically it. After I visited, it basically solidified Howard for me. When I got here, you get to Howard and the world is there. and the world was kind of overwhelming. I was from a small town in South Carolina. Seeing the world was very, eye-opening, but it's also overwhelming. And I saw the world at Howard, and Howard provided me the opportunity to actually see the world in study abroad. So I did 2 study abroads in Egypt and South Africa. These were summer study abroads, and it kind of opened me up to the possibilities of what being black in the world looks like. And I wanted to engage that on a very sophisticated level. So it was Howard that really inspired me to do graduate work in Africana Studies at Temple University. So the experience that I got at Howard is an experience that cannot be replicated. No one can even try to replicate it because it would be far beyond the scope of what they think is possible to have replicated. And Howard, in that sense, obviously provides something that is very much unique. In fact, so far ahead of what most majority black institutions can offer to black students that we shouldn't even make the comparison, because the comparison doesn't make sense. These institutions are literally apples and oranges. There's no need to make the comparison. The experience speaks for itself. We don't have to compare our experiences to other people's experience. We can just talk about our experiences and have that set the standard. And Howard made what I am, who I am, possible. But not just Howard, but the communities around Howard, the communities within Howard and around Howard, and the communities around South Carolina State and Blackman University. I'm an HBCU person. I was an HBCU child, I was an HBCU student, an HBCU alum, and now I'm an HBCU professor. And now that will never change for me. I'm not using Howard to go anywhere else. I'm going to stay here as long as I can because of the uniqueness of this experience. I did 4 years at Temple, and that was enough. I've done my time at these other institutions, and they aren't what they are cracked out to be, quite honestly. We deal with things at HBCUs, but at the end of the day, the experience allows one to, it's a sacrifice, and the sacrifice is worth it for me. That's not true. It's not going to be true for everybody, but it has been true for me.
Hi, my name is Tajay Miller. I'm a sophomore nutritional science major from Inglewood, California, and I do think that HBCUs are very special, specifically because I went to a majority African American school throughout my whole entire life, and I felt like all of my teachers really cared and got me to the place that I am today.
Do you feel your experience at a HBCU is better than what you could have got at another school?
I actually do. I feel like teachers, staff, everybody at HBCUs care more. They want to see you progress in life. And I feel like, not discounting PWIs, but I feel like African American teachers and teachers that do teach at HBCUs, they do know the importance of the African American diaspora to us. So like they want to see us succeed, and I feel like teachers at PWIs, they see that, but they're more worried about the work, not how it relates to us. Me being an African American woman, I want to know stuff that relates to me and how people that are African American women fought for rights and stuff like that. I want to know how that pertains to life and why I'm standing here today and learning at HBCU. So, yeah.
Thank you.